To become a better athlete, in order to master your craft, you have to spend countless hours in the gym preparing and practicing. It's the same when you're working with logics and reasoning. In order to become a better and stronger thinker and debater, you have to spend diligent time and practice identifying strong versus weak arguments in the media and in your daily life. Today, as part of that practice, I'm going to analyze a fictional debate between Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton from the Broadway hit musical Hamilton. In this debate, the two of them are arguing on whether or not the United States should establish a national bank, and both of them fall victim to some logical fallacies in their arguments. Let's start with Thomas Jefferson.
So, first arguer is Jefferson, like I said, jumping right in. He starts with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We fought for these ideals. We shouldn't settle for less. So right away, 2 lines in, he's fallen victim to his first fallacy, which is the appeal to tradition or the appeal to common practice. Because this is the way we've done things before, this is the way we should do them again. And while the ideals are albeit good for Americans to want to, focus on, that should be the basis of your argument. Continuing on. These are wise words, enterprising men quote them. Don't act surprised, you guys, because I wrote them. So fallacy number 2. It's sort of begging the question here. It's kind of circular reasoning. These are smart words. Smart men follow these words and live by these words. I know this because I'm smart. I wrote these words. Therefore, you should believe it. It doesn't provide a whole lot outside of I'm smart. This sounds smart. And so it's really not good argument. Continuing on. But Hamilton forgets his plan would have the government assume states' debts. Now place your bets as to who that benefits, the very seat of government where Hamilton sits. So although it may seem relevant that Hamilton is involved, it's kind of a red herring because the issue at hand is whether or not the government should assume the state's debts. And he may be an interested party, but Hamilton's involvement should be separate from the actual idea. You should still evaluate the idea for the actual idea. Continuing on. Oh, if the shoe fits, wear it. If New York is in debt, why should Virginia bear it? Our debts are paid, I'm afraid. Don't tax the South because we got it made in the shade. So this isn't really a fallacy on Jefferson's part, but he's actually pointing out a fallacy in what he believes Hamilton's argument. Because New York is in debt, it's sort of the 2 wrongs don't make a right fallacy. If New York is in debt, Virginia shouldn't be in debt. All the other states shouldn't be in debt. Your problem isn't our problem. Therefore, he's just trying to poke that one out in Hamilton's argument, which is as effective, I guess, depending on the person. I don't think it's that great of an argument either. But so Jefferson continues on. In Virginia, we plant seeds in the ground. We create. You just want to move our money around. This financial plan is an outrageous demand, and it's too many damn pages for any man to understand. So this is a straw man argument. Jefferson picks up this big, lofty plan for the Union's economy and their banks, and he sees this long and confusing, and therefore he's wary of it, and therefore it's an invalid argument because it's too complicated. It just isn't right. And so he's just attacking the argument for something separate than what Hamilton is really focused on. And so he ends with, stand with me in the land of the free, and pray to God we never see Hamilton's candidacy. Look, when Britain taxed our tea, we got frisky. Imagine what's going to happen when you try to tax our whiskey. So again, he ends with an appeal to sort of popularity or common practice. I don't know if you can call it tradition because they only did it once or twice, but we all got mad when they taxed us last time. If you tax us again, we're all going to get mad again, so don't do it. And that's just, again, not a valid argument. So that is Jefferson's argument. A couple of fallacies laden throughout. We'll jump to Hamilton's response, which is just as fallacy laden. So, Thomas, that was a real nice declaration. Welcome to the present. We're running a real nation. Would you like to join us or stay mellow, doing whatever the hell it is you do in Monticello? So, there is a circumstantial ad hominem here. Because Jefferson wasn't involved in the war, because he wasn't involved in the nation starting, you could even possibly count it as a genetic fallacy if you count his ties to France. I'm hesitant to say genetic because obviously he's not French, but it's this involvement with France and this laissez-faire attitude coming back that Hamilton's trying to point at and say, you know what, this guy shouldn't be making any decisions. He wasn't around. And that's not a valid attack. So Hamilton goes on, if we assume the debts, the Union gets a new line of credit, a financial diuretic. How do you not get it? If we're aggressive and competitive, the Union gets a boost. You'd rather give it a sedative. So there are 2 sort of fallacies here. The first one, obvious one to me, is the false dilemma fallacy. Hamilton is presenting Jefferson with two choices. You can do my plan and give the Union a boost, or give it a sedative. Now, obviously, Jefferson, a prominent man in the well-being of the United States at this point, doesn't want to give the United States economy or banks a sedative. That's a misrepresentation of his platform, and that's what also makes me lead to believe it's partially a straw man fallacy, because Hamilton is just misrepresenting Jefferson's idea. Obviously, he wants good things for the United States economy. He just wants to go about it differently, but Hamilton is just searching for dramatic effect here. All right. A civics lesson from a slaver. Hey, neighbor, your debts are paid because you don't pay for labor. We plant seeds in the South. We create. Yeah, keep ranting. We know who's really doing the planting. This is an inconsistency ad hominem on the part of Hamilton. So he's pointing out something about Jefferson and saying, hey, you're from the South. You're from that area. You can't possibly understand the burden of the debt we bear. So therefore, your opinion on this matter doesn't count. And albeit, maybe that's true, but that doesn't take away from the fact that you should still analyze Jefferson's argument, regardless of where he comes from, if he's from the South or not. That shouldn't play a part in it. Hamilton goes on, and another thing, Mr. Age of Enlightenment, to lecture me about the war, you didn't fight in it. You think I'm frightened of you, man? We almost died in a trench while you were off getting high with the French. Again, there's a couple fallacies mixed in here. The first one we see is another red herring. Hamilton is trying to sort of take focus away from the main idea and focus on Jefferson and the fact that he wasn't around in the war, the fact that, again, he's got some affiliations to the French, and that should be separate from the argument. And then also, there's a personal ad hominem because Hamilton comes across as, small, Jefferson comes across as small, inexperienced, and even pretentious just from his past, and that's not fair to the issue at hand. And Hamilton sort of ends, I'll read this off, he ends with a less than cordial personal ad hominem attack, just full of it, going at Jefferson and Madison. He goes, Thomas Jefferson, always hesitant with the president, reticent, there isn't a plan he doesn't jettison. Madison, you're mad as a hatter, son, take your medicine. Damn, you're in worse shape than the national debt is in. Sitting there useless as two shits. Hey, turn around, bend over, I'll show you where my shoe fits. So, again, he goes at, he takes aim at their ideology, their character and mannerisms, and even their physical appearance, which is not a great look for Hamilton, albeit fictional Hamilton, Lin-Manuel Miranda Hamilton, but still not very classy and doesn't really have any place in debate or argument. So, yes, this is not how it went down with Jefferson and Hamilton, obviously, but even in prominent forms of media, music, movies, TVs, and in your real life, if you're out and about at work or school, people are going to be having conversations, people are going to be having arguments, and there's going to be possibility for you to key in and sort of point out what some strong arguments are, what some weaker arguments are. So not so you can point out other people's mistakes and be like, ha, gotcha, you're doing this, but it's just to sort of develop your own process of analyzing information as it comes in, so you can make intelligent claims and really represent your ideals in the best way possible. And that's really what this is all about. So keep working, keep analyzing different conversations, keep finding what is a strong argument, what's a weak argument, and things will really start to come together for you.